Welcome to Hawaii Real, everyone. I have with me a special guest, Michael Kitchens from Stolen Stuff Hawaii. Mike, thanks for coming on, bud.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Awesome setup. Pretty cool.
Yeah, you like this? Is just,
Yeah, it's pretty
no, I
nuts.
just threw this together.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah, so you started Stolen Stuff Hawaii in 2014, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what brought you to start that
Essentially,
Facebook page?
is one of my own family members being victimized, and I was on social media since like 2009, Facebook primarily, and kind of understood how powerful it was. And when he had his van stolen, my brother-in-law, he lost like 10, 11 years worth of accumulated effort, when you build up tools. He was a landscaper, so that was his trade, right?
Yeah.
He had his van stolen and all of his gear was gone, and you just can't restart that in a moment's notice. So I tried posting on my profile, but my profile only had like, a couple hundred people at the time, it wasn't very used that much. And I started thinking, well, how do I make this bigger? How could I reach more of an audience? So I started looking into the things that Facebook has, which is pages and groups at the time. And although a lot has changed since then, it really looked attractive. Like, hey, maybe if I could grow this thing, maybe, I could start to reach out and touch somebody. So, I looked into it and it all kind of came together and, I launched it and it's slowly gotten bigger and bigger and more successful with time.
Yeah, and I'm a part of it, and I look at it, almost daily. Have posts coming up and showing, what's going on in the world, and not in the world, but what's going on with, Honolulu or Hawaii, and it's kind of expanded to not just like stolen stuff. It's like traffic. There's car accidents, and big events like when the shooting happened in Diamond Head. Like that was all over the group page and everything, right?
Right. It's been a slow evolution, and I kind of got tied into the name actually. So there's this rule with Facebook that once you get 5,000 members, you can't change your name. You can do it now because after feedback, but for a while there, I was just stuck with Stolen Stuff Hawaii, even though we started to have all those additional things happening.
Oh, that's a good name.
And it is the name now, so I mean it's not changing anytime soon.
Brand recognition,
right?
there.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's good. So, do you have like anything that sticks out in your mind as far as what Stolen Stuff Hawaii has done for someone? Any big stories or any emotional stories that have really touched you?
Yeah, I mean, really, to be honest, I think the one that sticks in my mind the most was when the house cleaner, Telma, I think it's Telma Boinville and her daughter, when Telma was murdered by that couple. Granted, and we've had tons of stories helping people, really positive stories, but that was a really emotional one, and it affected the entire community in a huge way. And I think that one sticks out in my mind. It's the tragedies that really, really stick out in your mind because, we put a lot of effort into helping find who those people were and putting the word out. And we helped to get the word out, and we helped HPD in some ways to really go out and find those people. And it was a dramatic, very sad experience. Same thing with this January incident, with the two fallen officers. And it's those tragedies, I think, that really bring the community together. And it also makes you realize how powerful social media is because it gives us the opportunity to, help spread the word, and help get the help or whatever's needed, to make it better, make the situation better. And I think that's the power of social media. It can be negative.
Sure.
And there's lots of negatives to using social media. But I think the positives for Stolen Stuff Hawaii, it can overcome that.
So with that, social media and everything being involved with community policing, kind of self-policing with the community where like the community members are helping each other out.
Right.
Do you see any more of that? Or I'm sorry, do you see a lag in where law enforcement is coming in to the social media?
I honestly think that honestly law enforcement is behind the curve when it comes to this. They're starting to come aware of it. But it's a powerful tool. It really is for getting information out and educating and interacting with the common, the common core group, right? Your community. There's really right now, there's no more powerful way of getting it out there. Everybody's on social media now, really, for the most part. And, if you have a group like Stolen Stuff Hawaii, you can really provide a message to them, that sort of thing.
Yeah, because you have over what 130,000
It's
members.
132,000 members right now.
So potential, and those are all in Hawaii, or
Yes,
just
they're all
different counties, or just Hawaii.
pretty much the state of Hawaii. It's Stolen Stuff Hawaii, so we
Right.
try to cover the whole thing. But of course, there is a focus on Oahu because of the population size.
Right.
But we do vet. Every person that comes in is either a Hawaii citizen, they're a relative of somebody, or they used to live here, or they're a military member. Sometimes we let in tourists because they've been victimized, but that's kind of here and there, really, to be honest.
So potentially you have like 100,000 eyes and ears out there around the islands
Right.
that could potentially like look for, or see crimes occurring or stuff like that.
And that's what makes it so powerful.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the larger we get, the more powerful we become, essentially, because you post something, an incident in our group, there's going to be at least 100,000 eyes who will see your post and say, I may know that person, or, that person, that car, I've seen that car, or, whatever. When you have that many people looking at a topic, it's purely, it's raw strength is what it is. And I think that the bigger we get, the more powerful we're going to get. And that's a huge responsibility, obviously, but I think it's a positive tool, especially for law enforcement.
Yeah. How many people do you have working with Stolen Stuff Hawaii?
Well, I have
administrators or whatever.
I have a couple different things. First of all, I have a Stolen Stuff Hawaii, the Facebook group, and then I have Stolen Stuff Hawaii, the Instagram account.
Okay.
And both of those have a good range of moderators, over 20 something people involved, 26, 20, 25, 26. I have an off-topic group for topics, that people want to discuss that aren't related to crime or whatever. And that's growing. That's up to like 8,000 people now.
It's just going to boom. Yeah.
Right. It's going to just continue to progress, I think. But for the most part, yeah, we've got a good core volunteer group. They're all volunteers. Like, nobody gets paid. Nobody makes any money off of this. Occasionally we'll have a fundraiser for something, this and that. Eventually, Stolen Stuff Hawaii is going to become a real organization. Already filed for trademarking late last year or last year. And the next step is to actually make a real company out of it, organization out of it. So.
So that's the future of Stolen Stuff Hawaii, is actually
I think
incorporating it to make a business out of it.
We want to provide services.
Right.
We want to provide services, number one, and we want to impact legislation in a much more meaningful way.
That's huge.
And that's where we're kind of getting there, but I am such a busy person. I haven't been hitting my deadlines for trying to get things done, and that's something that I think I'm only going to be able to achieve when I have a really core group of people who are really into the idea of it. And I think that's why it's important to move into the organizational thing. I'm a one-man band right now, and I have a good group of volunteers, but I really need an organized team to push certain things, to handle legislation, to follow it, to track it, and that's the reason why I want to get there.
Following legislation's huge. Like, there's so many bills.
Yes, there is.
It's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of bills that were introduced, this legislation, that impacted like gun owners, for example, and that's just a hot topic. And then you've got, a lot of bills that may help law enforcement, the guys that are, they steal a car, they have the key because they stole the purse in the house. But as long as they have the key, they just get let go, it's really hard to convict them because there's that doubt, that's benefit of doubt. Hey, I got the key. Bob gave it to me. I didn't know this is a stolen car. It's that element of doubt that sets them free. And, there's a bill going forward that is trying to eliminate that, so.
I hope so. That's a ridiculous kind of
there's
caveat to the whole stolen car thing that they're probably not going to get into.
Yeah, I think
throw this out on YouTube, what you can do.
Right. Yeah, I think there's a lot of caveats to our laws that basically allow criminals to get away with stuff that they shouldn't. Common sense. Like, our common sense to us is like, that doesn't make any sense.
Right, and a reasonable person would expect that, no, that's a stolen car.
Right.
Like, convict them. Like,
Right.
no, we can't.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you pretty much, that's the general feeling, I think, around the community is like, what's the deal here?
I've heard it firsthand.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah, so yeah.
So you kind of covered the challenges to starting up the group and everything like that. Are there any other challenges that you see with this big social media group and going forward with it?
I think it's a huge responsibility. I mean, it's not one that I really asked for. Sure, I had a great idea, but there's so much that has come with it. First of all, there's the relative, I don't want to say celebrity status, but it's being recognized. I walk into a bank and people are like, "Hey, you're the guy from SSH," and I'm like, I'm just a moderator. I'm just an administrator,
No, you're
that sort of
not.
thing.
No, you're not.
Yeah, but I mean, I view it's a community effort, and
Yeah.
really without the community, it wouldn't be successful at all. If it was just me, there's no success. So it really depends on the community. So I think that's number one. So
Mhm.
that was a big thing because I'm being recognized for that stuff, and I'm not into that too much. But I think really the other challenges really are for the group level is just the power of social media is so strong that if you don't get the facts right, you can put somebody on blast that is totally unfairly. And I'm very conscientious of that. I've learned a lot of hard lessons in running the group. And, the whole purpose of SSH is to be a positive force. It's
Mhm.
not to ruin people's lives, but it's to help people that have been victimized. So it's very important to me that, people who have been victimized have that voice. But of course, we want to make sure that people are being honest about the situation.
Mhm.
We don't want to put people on blast unfairly. We don't want to put people's names out there that don't need to be. We don't want to blast innocent people. And we're not judge and jury. That's for law enforcement.
Right. And it's definitely not a hate group.
No,
Mhm.
and yeah, we
You're not
don't.
hating on criminals either, right?
No, no, it's about just bringing them to law enforcement and letting law enforcement take over from there, and then into our judicial system.
Mhm.
So I think that's really important. And the other thing I think would just be maintaining control of how people act in the group.
Mhm.
That's a huge challenge because when you have 100 something thousand people, we quite literally have a 85% activity rate. So it means out of those 132,000 people, there's 85% of that is on that group at all times.
They're actually looking at it,
Yeah, they're
posting,
actually, yeah,
commenting, liking
exactly,
stuff. Mhm.
which is super high, and that's one of the reasons why we work with Facebook sometimes is because they see, the activity level on our group, which is massive. So, but with that comes rules. You've
Mhm.
got to be responsible. You've got to be able to, ensure that everything's being communicated in a civil manner. People can get in arguments and get real heated real fast, and you just don't want that because then it makes people afraid to post.
Yeah. And
And
that's one of the things about social media, especially like Facebook, is like people will argue about dumb stuff and try to prove themselves right. And the other person they're trying to prove themselves right, they're looking up different like links and websites and stuff where they're getting their information from. And it's just like two-sided. And it's, come on, guys,
I honestly think that
stop.
most things won't get solved through social media.
No,
You're going
not.
to be set in your way. I'm going to be set in mine. We're going to throw links at each other, and nobody's going to walk away with any difference. I mean, that's something that I've tried to actually slowly learn is to listen to the other side.
Yeah.
I'm not always right. I got to really look at what they're saying.
Mhm.
Have what they call emotional intelligence, which is something I preach to my moderators. So be able to look at a situation and not be emotional about it. Look at only the facts, what you're being presented, and then make a judgment call off of that, as opposed to you being upset that he called you something or, he's attacking your values or whatever. You have to look at it with emotional intelligence. So that's what I try to teach my moderators, to do that. And that helps take away some of the conflict. But of course, not everybody wants to do that. Definitely the members don't. And, it can get hit pretty heated. Sometimes people take too far. They'll take it to private messaging,
Mhm.
or DMs is what they call it, and we just don't allow that because it's not conducive to helping people. People need to feel like with our group that they can come and post about their problem and that they're going to be helped. They're going to be supported because they've already been victimized. Why would they want to be victimized further by a group that's, for example, victim shaming them? I left my car open. I left it unlocked. Somebody grabbed my wallet. I left my purse in the car and they broke through the window because I left it on my seat. That's the example right there. They
Mhm.
just learned the hardest lesson you can learn. They lost something because of their own choices. They don't need somebody else to tell them, why'd you leave your purse in your car?
It's like obviously they know why. Like
Yeah,
obviously they've learned the lesson. They know
right.
not to ever
They
do that
don't.
again, but that doesn't change the fact that somebody took it.
Right, exactly. And, that's like, it just seems common sense to me. Like, hey, man, they don't need you
Mhm.
to rub it in their face any more than that.
Right.
So that's one of the more common things we have to deal with too. So victim shaming, but we don't allow it. So that's something we have to police for.
Yeah, and it's hard with the victim shaming too because even from a law enforcement perspective, you do get the you know you do become critical of like victims. It's like, dude, why did you do that? You were so dumb. Why did you do that? And it's
Hmm.
like you really can't do that. You have to separate yourself from that and actually be more empathetic to them and see where they're coming from. And yeah, they are learning the lesson. And sorry they didn't know it before, but yeah, they left their really expensive camera on the back seat of their rental car.
Hmm. I think that's one of the things that the people that have been in the group, for example, like kind of like the law enforcement example that you gave, they can be desensitized because they've learned it already.
Hmm.
Every day they see, somebody getting their stuff broken into. So when somebody does that, it's like, come on, man. But there was a time where they were just as innocent and gullible as they are. You know what I mean? So, and that's one of the things I think too that social media helps is education. You asked about what can HPD do, with social media, or how are they? I think really social media can be an educational tool.
Mm.
When something happens, an incident, why did that incident be handled that way? Why was he released? Why wasn't he arrested, or why was he arrested? Or why couldn't you search his bag? You know, some of that education will help people understand that law enforcement is not the enemy. For example, there's some times where your hands are tied because of the law, and I think that can be a useful tool to try and maybe better interaction between law enforcement and the citizens, because I think that's very important. And that's actually something I try to do. So,
Right on. So stolen stuff Hawaii, and then what else you got going on? You're kind of an entrepreneur. You told me before this that you're a jack of all trades.
yeah,
Uh,
master of none.
you have an Air
uh,
Force background.
right. Yeah. So I'm essentially a retired combat armsman. And what that is, that's the Air Force's version of a weapons trainer,
Hmm.
essentially. So for 10, almost a little over, close to, well, yeah, just a little over 10 years, I essentially trained people on, the intricacies of putting holes in, targets,
Nice.
all manner of weapons and whatever. So that's kind of where my, law enforcement's background kind of comes with, because a lot of that mixed in with that, working
Hmm.
with the sheriff's department, working with local law enforcement, because we would actually train some of those. But I've shot a lot of big weapons and small weapons, in the Air Force inventory, and I did that for 10 years, and that's actually where I got my speaking. Well, I just messed it up, but I get my my talents at speaking to large groups of people. Training anywhere from 20 something people to over 100, that sort of thing, and it's really enabled me to have a kind of a perspective on law enforcement that I think is necessary for SSH, and
Hmm.
plus I love shooting. Shooting's amazing. A lot of fun, sort of thing. So, I can see it from different angles, too,
Hmm.
because of that. And then the other thing I do is that I really enjoy is I'm a photographer for Street Pulse, which is kind of a local, youth culture direct, oriented buy and sell magazine with midweek. So it's just, it's basically pretty pictures of cars, pretty pictures of young models, and all these other different things like.
Fun stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually a more enjoyable part of my job. It's allowed me to stay relevant in the motorsports community too, because each week since 2012 I've shot one car a week.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
so I've amassed over 400 something cars that I've photographed of different types, every type of make and model. There's my bucket list. I still have some cars that I want to shoot, but for the most part, it's an opportunity to get out there because I get to talk to people, and I
Hmm.
really think that's one of the things that SSH and, for example, Street Pulse have allowed me to do is to get out and get to know people. I've talked to so many people.
Mm.
It's got to be in the thousands now, where I've either helped them behind the scenes in private messaging, or I've met them in person and took pictures of their car and found out why do you love it? Why do you like being in as an important enthusiast, or a hot rodder or whatever. And it's really helped me to kind of get a personal feel for our community and to learn what makes our guys tick and girls. What really makes our community work. And that's led into a lot of good things. You know, so those are two of the biggest things I think that have impacted where I'm at today. And the
So,
other.
so the street pulse thing, you're doing that professionally, not as a hobby, though, right?
No, yeah, it's pretty much, yeah. It's a paid job,
Nice.
one of my few.
So you have multiple streams of income coming in.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I got my retirement, then I got Street Pulse, and then I'm free to do whatever else I want. I used to be a webmaster for the Pacific Aviation Museum,
Oh, my
Pearl
kids
Harbor.
love that place.
Yeah, so I started when that place had just been open for a couple of years, and I took over their website and helped get it to where it was at. And then of
Hmm.
course, after a while, I shifted gears and went on to do other stuff. But like you said, I'm a jack of all trades, and I being retired has given me that opportunity to kind of do just whatever the heck I want, really. I'm big into community service, though,
Hmm.
and I'm big into racing. I really love racing.
And that brings us to
Right. So,
Bum
yeah, Circuit Hawaii.
Circuit
So,
Hawaii.
I'm actively in the process of building and developing a motorsports facility. It's going to be what they call a FIA Grade 3 motorsports facility, which means that we are going to have not only local racing, but national and international racing on the highest level, really. I mean, one of the highest levels. It's not a Formula One track, but it'll be a track that we are going to see stuff like Trans Am Series, GT World Challenge, and NHRA, these big series, that have never been a part of Hawaii, really, not on a big scale. We're going to have the opportunity to see that here, and I think it fits in perfectly for Hawaii because we've got sun, sand, beaches, you know, wonderful food, incredible tourist industry, hotels. The only thing we don't have is motorsports.
Mm-hmm.
And when you plug motorsports into it, it just works. Last year we had over 10 million people show up on this island,
Yep.
and the way motorsports works is really like these people that go and participate in motorsport. They do what they call an arrive and drive experience. They'll go out and rent a Lamborghini or they'll rent a Miata,
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They'll go experience the track for a while, but while they're doing that, their family's just kind of like, well, what are we doing? The wife or the kids. They're
Mm-hmm.
So one of the great things about being in Hawaii is you can come do that, and then once you're done racing, you can actually go experience the island. So that's a huge
So
draw.
it's going to bring a tourist draw
Yeah,
to
it'll
actually
help
try out the racing
supplement.
the cars and stuff.
It'll increase the expenditure. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's not necessarily bringing more tourists, but I think it will help increase the expenditure that tourists do in Hawaii,
Right.
which will be much more beneficial than actually bringing in more tourists. But yeah, if we have a big race here, if you can think about it like the Pro Bowl of motorsports,
Mm-hmm.
that's what it would be. And the economic stimulus that can create for our community will be tremendous. You're talking about all the mom and pop tuning shops will come back. The restaurants will have an impact. The hotel industry, everything related to that facility will grow. Our education, auto trade schools will become more popular. We'll have programs with the universities. We'll be able to provide training for like commercial driver's licensing, trucks, um, and other things like HPD, Honolulu Fire Department, VIP training, SWAT training.
Have a place for them to train. Yeah,
Right.
because
Finally,
they're losing those places to train
right.
right now.
Exactly. So there's so much opportunity. When you think about the opportunities and what you could do
Mm-hmm.
if you had a large property, which we do, that's what it is. And we've been without a track since 2006. It's time we brought it
Right.
back. Um,
So I
really,
remember that track way back in the past.
yeah,
It's like there was always people there.
right,
Saturdays and Friday nights. You go there and you see cars race and you pay to
right.
get a ticket and go in.
And it was a family thing too.
Mm-hmm.
There's people that grew up there at the track every
Mm-hmm.
weekend, and now there's kids who are 18 years old and are driving 400 horsepower cars straight from the factory, and they've never even seen a track. So it's something about providing an opportunity for them to get back on track, to
Mm-hmm.
learn how to be responsible drivers, to learn car control, and to give them a place to go as opposed to doing it on the streets.
Right, because you want them to race in a place where they can race, not in a race
Right.
on the streets,
It's not
on the
gonna.
freeway or
Not
anything.
everybody's gonna. There's always gonna be people that race on the streets,
Sure.
but at
Yeah.
least we're giving them an opportunity. And what we are doing is essentially at least a 1.5 mile road course with a 1/8 mile drag strip. It'll have a dirt track. It'll have skid pad, wet and dry skid pad.
You have like
All,
monster truck
yeah. I mean,
rallies.
we're going to be able to do anything and everything,
Nice.
and we're not going to just do automotive. It's going to be non-automotive. So festivals, we're going to be able to do cycling and biking and marathons and just think about what you could do if you had a chunk of land, and
Like those
that's
big outdoor concerts and stuff.
right. And it's in a suitable area. It's an industrial area. We're going to be far away from the residential areas. It's right next to an active runway. We're going to have that whole arrive and drive experience with exotics. So, you can do the whole
Mm.
Ferrari. I want to run a Lamborghini or whatever. And, or you can learn how to drive. There's just so much that you can do. And what that does, really, the whole point of the way we're doing it is to offset the cost for the local community so that, as an enthusiast, a local one, you're not having to pay an arm and a leg to go race. All these other things that we're doing
Mm-hmm.
will help to keep the cost down.
Sure.
as opposed. And I personally think that private is the way to go because the city and state are so strapped.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. No,
You know,
wouldn't have the city do that.
it wouldn't be. I don't think it's being fiscally responsible. Really,
Right.
we're already taxed, way overtaxed. Yeah,
Well, we'll mention the rail.
yeah. Thank you. But I mean, obviously, we've got some serious issues with infrastructure and things that need to be fixed.
Hmm.
I think that should be the priority. So, private development essentially allows for us to just do it on our own.
So where's this going to be at?
Campbell Industrial Park. It's 0.2 miles south of the old racetrack. So the
Okay.
old racetrack, Hawaii Racer Park, was there since 1964. So it's the perfect location. It's known for that area, and like I said, it's next to the airport. It's only 10 minutes drive from Ko'olina. So we're hitting up those wealthy and affluent people that
Hmm.
maybe want to fly in and land their plane at Kaliloa,
Yeah.
their chartered plane, and then just come over and take a little race around the track and then go hang out, at Colleen or whatever. So it's a great way to supplement, cost, like I said, so.
Yeah, and you're putting more attraction out west, so people aren't having to trek in the traffic all the way into town and stuff.
That
That's
is one of the things I think that most people really don't even, you just hit a point that I think is amazing because there's areas that are way more traffic than they should be. Kailua, for example,
Mhm.
or some of these really hard hit places. So we can actually maybe draw a little bit of that away from that and put it into an area where on the weekends there's nobody there. There's nobody in Campbell on a Saturday,
Right.
where, maybe we can take a little bit of pressure off of those places and bring it out to an area where there's room to grow a little bit.
Hmm.
And I think that's actually a big one. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, no, maybe it'll have an effect.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
I think it will actually, because I mean, when you've got
the rail is going to be in that area too, right?
right, so there'll be some, obviously, with 52 acres compared to like a world class track on the mainland
Hmm.
circuit of America. I mean, you're talking a couple, almost 1,000 acres, maybe more. That's
You're not going to find that area.
right. Not no, but we can augment that like the way the Aloha Stadium does when they have a big event like Bruno Mars or Guns N' Roses. Not all the parking is there. They do the shuttle thing. So
Yeah.
same thing with us when we hold a big event. We'll be out there, and use those available parking lots in the area and just shuttle people in and out. So the majority of our facility will be racing surfaces. Yeah.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about it. We are really far into it, and we've done a good job. We've got the property lined up. We've done our topographic survey, we've done our botanical, we've done our archaeological, and thankfully nothing has been found so far. And we're going to monitor that, of course, but it's moving right along. It's happening. It's not a proposal. It's a development.
Mhm.
It's happening. So super excited.
So on that note, it's moving forward and everything like that. From an entrepreneur's perspective or someone looking from the outside, how many times did you have to fail? Or how many times did things just go wrong before you got to the area where, things are moving along now? How
Well,
many businesses did you start that didn't manifest or whatever?
when I first came to Hawaii, it was because I'd been medically retired. I got messed up I went to go get my appendix removed, and the doctor messed up horribly. I ended up losing 85% of the muscle beneath my knee. So really, if you look at my knee, I look like a pirate. It's just a peg leg, you know what I mean? Just,
Hmm.
15% of my gastrocnemius, which sounds a little gory, but it's the truth,
Hmm.
And I didn't have anywhere to go. I was always into racing. I couldn't race at the time because I could barely walk. And I ended up coming out to HRP, Hawaii Raceway Park, and getting to know the guys that are out there and helping them fill potholes, fix the guardrails. And when the track closed in 2006, it was like, what? I just found my place again.
Hmm.
I just found something to do that I enjoy. And I was so distraught by that. I essentially signed on to help try and build tracks. There's tons of people that tried to go and build the track, and unfortunately, for whatever reason, the projects failed. So I've literally spent 14 years trying to help or trying to make something happen, whether through people. And then in February 2017, for example, I mean, that's when I had my opportunity to. And I've learned so much from failing, essentially, and watching other people fail. What to do, what not to do, what to say, what not to say. What's the purpose? What's the direction? What's the goal? And I think it's to the point now where I've accumulated enough experience to where I can take this thing on myself. And because of all the things that I've done in the past, I had this opportunity to come to me. One of my first sponsors for one of my first car shows is the person that introduced me to Par Hawaii, who are our landlords essentially, and they're the ones that made this happen. So it goes all the way back to 2007, this whole project. And it's from that, succeeding and failing that I'm at the point where I'm at. So yeah, it's huge, and it took a lot. I think I can honestly say that I'm one of the few people on this island that have committed my life, for over 14 years to doing racing and getting us back on track. Yeah, so and I'm proud of that, but I mean, it has been a challenge, very emotional.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's one of those stories where people have to realize you're not going to get rich quick.
No,
Like you think about some of these YouTube stars or anything like that, where they're getting rich quick. And it's like, it's not that. That's not what you should be working for. You should be working for the long game, build your foundation. And for you, it took, 14 years, but the future, you're on the horizon of something really great that's going to come and going to, potentially support you for the rest of your life.
well, yeah, I mean, for me, it's about my community, but I do understand what's going to happen when this succeeds. When this succeeds, it
Mm-hmm.
will change the face of Wahoo from an economic stimulus standpoint, and I'll be a part of that.
Yeah.
So I have no doubt, what's going to come with it. But it's not just going to be me.
No,
There's
of
going to
course.
be everybody that's interested in doing something out there, or being, in an alternative industry with it, whatever. People people who have podcasts. I mean, there's going to be so much that
Yeah.
you can do, and I think that's going to help bring us up. It's already hard enough to survive here.
Mm-hmm.
Introducing those types of things will help make it better for people here.
Yeah. So look how white I look.
Oh, you look amazing, though.
That's so bright.
You look beautiful. I mean, people have filters for that.
I'm gonna have to filter.
That's something we can talk about, is
I think
filters.
I don't really have a filter.
No, I mean, yeah, that's even better. No, like, selfies, man. Oh my gosh, my wife is so into selfies.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, all of their friends that hang out, they're into filters. Filters are crazy, actually, if you think about it. It's like, when's the last time you saw a picture on Instagram that was actually, back in the day we had Polaroids, right? You take
Yeah.
a picture, that's who they were.
Yeah.
Now it's like, it looks like somebody
It
used
filters you and it smooths your skin.
Oh
and
yeah,
it gives you green eyes. And
Mm-hmm. It
it's like, dude,
looks.
that's not what you look like.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You see him in person, you're like, what happened?
It was a good Instagram
Right,
photo
right,
you took.
yeah, you
Man.
look amazing on Instagram. I don't know what happened just now. Looks like somebody used like one of those little shovels to like, what do you call them? For like, putting plaster down. I don't know.
Oh yeah, the spackle.
Yeah, they look like somebody just spackled that sucker clear. And it's just wow, dude. Sometimes and I hate the fact that the filters, they don't allow you to have one person that has a filter and one person not. So my wife will take a picture with Instagram, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she'll take the picture, and I've got beautiful eyes and lipstick, and I'm just like, I don't want to be a part of this. Hey, this is not me. I'm not that pretty.
My kids love that stuff. They love to put like the bunny ears, the
Right.
dog ears.
Yeah, yeah. That's cool stuff. But come on, leave me. Yeah.
Just leave me normal. No.
Yeah.
No.
I don't.
That would be cool if you could interchange like your facial filters. So like you could have one and the person that you're in the selfie with could have another. That'd be
They'll
cool.
probably get to it. I go up to Facebook
Yeah.
all the time, actually. So the last couple times, well,
Wait,
Facebook.
So you go to Facebook
Yeah, I went to Facebook actually.
in
So
California?
yeah, so Menlo Park, California, and then I think the other time was San Jose.
Mhm.
And essentially, they invite me up there because of my group. Stolen Stuff Hawaii is so it's so active. It's a great example of what a group should be with Facebook, and it's different. It's not like a lot of groups are based around like a hobby or a profession or something, and ours is more of a a tool, that sort of thing. So and because of the activity level, they're super interested in how we operate. So Facebook works with us on an unofficial level, I guess you could say. They send us betas of
Ooh.
different opportunities to try out new features, do testing, and they actually asked me for advice. So I'll go up there and I got to sign an NDA and all that stuff. So I
Can't talk about that on YouTube.
So sorry about that, Facebook. And I just get the opportunity to go up and interact with them so that they can help try and improve, like, for example, the software. So since I'm a big user of groups, they help me. What are your suggestions? And I'll say, well, this is the problem I'm having with, or I'd love to be able to do this. This would help improve this and that. And they take that and they actually implement it into the software. It's really great. It's a huge opportunity. It wouldn't have happened really without the ability to, without SSH, without the opportunity.
Sure. Yeah.
And for example, I'm going up in March again to Facebook. I was just there in November actually, and
And what, they fly you up and everything?
yeah, they fly me up, which is cool. Yeah, I'm not I'm not made out of money, so the opportunity to go up there and experience and represent
Yeah.
Hawaii and represent my group is fantastic. And gotta be honest, Facebook headquarters is it's incredible. That
Yeah.
place is nuts. They literally have a half-mile building that is
What's the coolest thing you see there?
the roof. I think the roof is pretty incredible because
What?
essentially they have a redwood forest on top of
What?
a half-mile of building. So they just built this whole new complex up in Menlo, California, and you got two campuses. You got the old campus, got the new campus, and the new campus essentially what they did is they took the roof and they just brought in, I don't know, an arborist. I don't
Hmm.
know who it would do, but I mean, they essentially just plopped in all it. When I was up there, I got a tour of it. We walked from one end to the other, and there were foxes up there.
On the roof.
Yeah, there's endangered foxes as part of the environment.
Well, how do I support that? I mean, you said redwoods, like sequoias and
Well,
stuff?
I'm not sure if it's redwoods, but that's what I was told. But it's just basically huge trees.
Because those are massive trees. I don't know how you would
Yeah, I don't
put
think
that on a roof
maybe it's a type of redwood or something. Maybe I'm wrong, but
unless they
essentially
got some
it's a forest.
hardcore foundation under that.
It's a forest on top of a building. It
That's
quite
cool.
literally is. You can go look at some Facebook
So,
pictures.
like,
Or
how
whatever.
many stories high is the roof?
Oh man, probably what, 4 stories? Maybe I'd say. It's not super high.
So it's 4 stories up above the ground, and
Yeah,
then the forest.
and then the forest.
Jeez,
Yeah, so you go, and the thing
that's
is,
cool.
it's got all these little entrances and exits. So you'll come up through the elevator, and then you walk out, and there's a jogging path, and people jogging, going by, and you look off in the distance, and all you see is trees. It's not like there's no city or anything. It's just trees. You know what I mean? It's a little mind blowing, to be honest. And to be honest, all of Facebook headquarters is like that because when you arrive there, it's essentially somebody. It's like letting art students just go crazy.
Hmm.
You walk in the front thing and there's a fantastic painting, or you walk a little further and there's like a whole section of the roof has been turned into some type of weird art thing. And it's just everywhere. It's a huge open space. So within this warehouse, you have little cubicles for meeting rooms. And then you have what's I think most amazingly is all the food there and snacks and drinks is free.
Hello.
Yeah. And surprisingly, everybody over there is skinny.
Wow.
So it's like
They actually make them work.
yeah. You know why? Because they have to walk so far.
Yeah.
They're walking a half mile every day. I think that's what it is. But they don't have cubicles. All the tables are completely open. So if you're working, you can just lean over and go, "Hey, what's up, Bill?" That sort of
Mm.
thing, right? So it's impressive. But I mean, the whole time I was there, I was like, man, I'm not losing any weight while I'm here. Because you could just go, if you're bored, you just go get like some chips. You go get, grab
So
a
the people
Coke.
look at you and they're like, "Oh, he clearly doesn't work here."
Right, exactly. Yeah. There's too many skinny people here. But then for lunch, for example, they got all these like Indian curry. They got, they had a barbecue place, which was actually pretty good. You just walk in and put it on your plate, man, and then you walk out. That's it.
I mean, do they have stuff like that here in Hawaii?
I don't think so.
Corporations like that?
I'm not sure. Facebook makes $1 billion a year or something like that. So
Yeah, because I remember from one of my side businesses, I flew up to San Jose and I went to the company headquarters. It's called Verbero, and they were a hockey equipment company. And they had kind of something similar where like you go there and they just feed you lunch. They feed everybody lunch every day, breakfast, lunch, and then you're gone, right? And so they
Mhm.
wanted to keep their workers happy. So,
I think it
and
works.
not just happy, but like they wanted to keep their workers there. So they had like a full commercial kitchen next door to their office. And they would just cook all the food right there. And then like people would go from their tables or their cubicles or whatever. Yeah, there were no cubicles. Walk over to the kitchen dining area and there's
Mhm.
just like long tables,
Mhm.
nice like hardwood long tables, and everybody would just go in line and get food from the cook. And yeah, it was like some curry kind of
That's
food.
pretty much
And
the same setup as Facebook, I think. And I was talking to one of the Facebook people, and I was just like, so what happens if these people have to like move on to another job? Because some of them are what do they call contractors?
Mhm.
So they only work there for a couple years while the project's going on, and then they're done. They go somewhere else. I'm like, some of these young guys, man, they're gonna be like, depressed.
Culture shock.
Yeah, like, well, I gotta cook my own food. I gotta pay for it.
I gotta go get a plate lunch.
I mean, I had issues coming back on the plane. It's like I can't go back to normal life now. So I was really surprised. Yeah, Facebook headquarters is awesome. So, and any opportunity they give me to go back and check it out, yeah, I take them
Hell
up on
yeah,
that offer.
man. Hell yeah.
Yeah, and it's really great because honestly, like I said, social media is so powerful.
I mean, there's got to be like just a small percentage of people that get invited to do that, right?
There's literally, there's a lot of people in the world, right? And Facebook is a massive company.
Right. But when you go, do you meet these other group heads and stuff?
I do. Like I do get a chance to interact with other people, so they bring other people there.
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta say though, we are part of a special breed, not a special breed, but we're being invited for reasons. I get invited because the power of SSH. They see what we're doing with it, and they give us opportunity. And Facebook really believes that groups is now the future. Before they were focusing on pages, but then they realized that really what it is the community. Giving everybody a voice, getting everybody a chance to express themselves and to take part, in whatever activity they're doing, because you can see their advertising now. It's all about groups and biker women, and,
right.
Hockey players and people that work out, and, all
Maybe
this other things.
Those funny commercials that they have on TV.
Right. So, I mean, they're realizing that really is about community, and to their credit, they've really started to run with it, and they've improved massively. I can't even remember what Facebook was like back in 2009, for example, when I first came on. But I know that it's massively different, and they've improved the platform by listening to their people, and they have such a huge responsibility. They get a little bit of negativity from, like, for example, our elected officials and other people, but I think they really have done a good job trying to be responsible. So, yeah.
Yeah, when you're at the top and you're in a place of notoriety, you're gonna get people that hate you. That comes with the territory, and that's kind of what you have to expect, I guess. But yeah, there's so many more people that do appreciate what Facebook has done, and the world has kind of been made a smaller place for what it is as social media has grown and stuff like that. And like, I can talk to my cousin on the East Coast, that I didn't even have his phone number, but then we were on social media and he was friends with my mom, and then we connected, and then it was kind of a cool thing,
I think one of the biggest things that Facebook has done for me is it helps me remember people's birthdays.
Oh, that too.
Like, I don't know half of these people's birthdays, and hey, Bobby's got a birthday. Oh, hey, yeah, I remembered. Yeah.
But how many friends do you have?
Oh gosh, I don't even remember.
1,000 more.
It was getting too much at one time, and running SSH, I quite literally have 1,000 something people waiting to be my friend. But I got to the point where, like, man, I'm too public. I gotta kind of hold off a little bit. I can't invite people I don't know. I think Facebook, you have a tendency to friend people you don't even really know. You just kind of met them once, And so I've cut it back a little bit. I could go look, but man, I'm pretty sure it's pretty high. My wife has like 50 friends or something, and that's all she needs. But one of the things I think that's important too is, for example, like for people like you. You've got this podcast blog sort of thing going on. Man, Facebook is free advertising for you.
Oh, it's total, yeah.
And it's amazing where you can go with this by using the platform. Back in the day, you would have had to pay somebody to get the exposure you could get on Facebook, really.
Right. Like back in the day, if you wanted to have a podcast or radio show, like you were on the radio, FM radio or AM radio,
And now you've you got a chance to share your voice with the people, and people like me, are given an opportunity by people like you.
Yeah, and I give people platforms to talk and just go out there and share.
Yeah, so I think that's amazing in not only Facebook, but Instagram and all these other new platforms that are popping up. And Facebook is amazing because I can't imagine life without it right now.
I think a lot of people are like that. Like when Facebook had gone down one time, everybody was like, "Oh my God, what's going on? It's the end of the world."
Right? What do I do? That sort of thing.
Calm down, guys.
Yeah, where were you during the nuclear attack? Where was the missile attack?
Oh, the missile attack. I was in bed.
Right. Yeah.
I was in bed.
Yeah.
I got the text and everything. I was like, it's fake.
Right.
There's no way.
Yeah. It was a real wake up call, but I mean, social media basically was just like, hey, yeah.
Like everybody was blowing up about that, and then our political leaders, they weren't like responding fast enough.
Yeah, they weren't on the ball essentially.
Even though like the response came out 12 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
But like if you look at back in the 90s, like 12 minutes is fast.
Right.
It's not that long.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's on top of it.
But then on the flip side, we wouldn't have had like that warning to all
Hmm.
of our cell phones because we wouldn't have had all those cell phones back in the 90s. But
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's like quick to warn people, but you got to be quick to, you know, calm everything down if it's a fake thing. You know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think actually social media did help with that. It's like the coronavirus. Oh gosh, man, that's a good topic to
Geez.
talk about. I mean, in a way, I
Say,
think.
how much time we got?
Yeah, no kidding, right? I think honestly, what like, if you think about it, influenza kills something like 1.2 million people a year,
Totally.
right? And coronavirus has killed a couple thousand, right now so far.
Yeah.
In China, which has literally one city has like 1 billion people in it. So statistically, it's not that bad, really. You know what I mean? If you think about it, but yet there's so much social media and hype, and I think some of that.
I think the thing with the coronavirus is it transmits so easily.
Right, and
So
there's no
that's the
cure
thing.
for it right now, right? Or there's no.
Yeah, and people. Well, the San Diego people said that they found a cure, like, or USC or something like that, said they found a cure within like a few hours.
Oh, really?
I don't know if that's true or not, but I mean, there are people that are recovering from it, but it's just that it people catch it so easily and it's so airborne. And they're saying like, yeah, even if you wear a mask, like it's gonna get like if somebody
In your
coughs and it's in the
eyeballs,
air, it's gonna go
right.
into your eyes, and ergo
Yeah.
you get the flu.
It was a little scary because I just flew
Yeah.
back from Japan. I was in Japan for about 8 days, over there talking to investors for the racetrack thing. And, I'm just looking around at people and I get on the plane coming back and, there's some Chinese people and there's, some Japanese and they're all Japanese wear masks no matter what.
Yeah.
And the weird thing with the mask thing is it's actually, some of them wear it just because it's cool.
Yeah, and they have like little faces and mouths and
Right,
everything
right.
printed on them.
I was reading about it, like why do Japanese people wear the mask while they're in? Obviously there's the whole infection thing, but the other thing is they say that it draws people to their eyes.
It's the whole ninja thing.
Yeah, exactly right. Who doesn't want to be a ninja, right? That's exactly it. But it is amazing because everybody's wearing it, so you feel a little self-conscious. So while I was on the plane, I'm just like, okay, let's just stick with this till we get back home.
Yeah.
But in reality, maybe the danger wasn't as high as you would think it would be. But I mean, who knows, right?
Who knows? Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, sorry to end this on a bummer.
I thought we were talking about ninjas. What happened, man? All right, Mike, man, it's been good having you on. We learned a lot about social media, a lot about Stolen Stuff Hawaii. And dude, you're an entrepreneur. You're going to all these places in the mainland, talking to investors about your racetrack. You're going to California to Facebook headquarters. And I mean, you're at a pretty good place, I think that we have more to see from you in the future, man.
Well, I've got some dreams. I hope they work out. Not just for me, but for a lot of people. And, I've always been driven about that stuff, and I'm going to keep pushing.
Keep
I really
pushing,
am.
man.
Yeah, so thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks for coming on. Thanks for saying yes.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, to everybody else out there, stay happy, Hawaii.